Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom if you are of the seed of Israel. The talk today interconnects with several topics, among them, the period that a lot of religions have referred to as end times. You find discussions about this period in Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam. I believe there may be traces of it in some other religions, but these three faiths I have mentioned are the faiths that looked at it in much detail. Omenana refers to particular periods, talks about the beginning of times, but it's to the best of my knowledge, it did not really dwell so much on the end of times. And I see the end of times not necessarily literally, but as a time that may be coming in future when a lot of things that people are not used to will begin to manifest. This is my understanding of the end of times. I will not get into too much details about what the religions I have mentioned have said about it, but I will refer to what Christianity and Islam think of that time. They think about it as a time that there will be much violence, which will be followed by an era of bliss. And this morning, the spirit, the angel, deputed by Lord Chuku to assist me in all that I do, took possession of me, and the spirit of prophecy descended on me again, and I decided to say something about this era and the role the people that call themselves the Igbo people today, the role that they will play. They have a role to play if they wish. I know that this will seem very strange to everybody that is listening, that the Igbo people, the people that call themselves the Igbos, who today view themselves the way they do view themselves, would have an important role to play in such a period that even the English, who colonized 1/4 of the world, are not claiming that they have anything to say about. That Igbo people will have a role to play in that period, but I believe they would, because I have seen evidence that they would. And why do I say this? I will read out something and explain it. Systematic comparison of the language of these people that call themselves the Igbos today and that of the ancient Israelites and their Hebrew ancestors is still at an infant stage. However, there is ground to say that a person who does not have knowledge of the language of these people that call themselves the Igbos today and their worldview would not be able to understand some expressions, usages, and traditions that are in the Bible. When one of the sons of a man predeceases his father, these people will say, he died in the face of his father. What Julia Evelina Parker Smith's literal translation of the Bible says of this Genesis 11:28 provision follows. And Haran died at the face of Terah his father in the land of his birth in Uru of the Chaldees. From what we can see, Smith's claim that she did not see that anybody can know more about classical Hebrew appears not to be an empty boast. What Smith effectively showed, or what her work showed, was that the classical text of the Hebrew language, which is called Biblical Hebrew, aligns with the Igbo worldview. That classical Hebrew or Biblical Hebrew told us what happened to Haran. He predeceased his father. And while looking at this translation, while looking at the texts, Smith was able to see that what was in the text was that Haran died in the face of the father. And the Igbo people who never heard of this woman say that if a person died while the father was still alive, that person died in the face of the father. I hope you get the profundity of what I'm trying to say. I have said repeatedly, and rabbis have come out to support what I said, and people who are not rabbis have come out to support what I said, that the traditions that the Hebrew Bible was quoting was Omenana. Christianity would quote the New Testament. Judaism would cite the Talmud. The Hebrew Bible would cite Omenana. So, a people who possess this culture of the Bible, they have a lot to contribute. I mean the people that call themselves the Igbo people. Today, because I know that yesterday, the day before yesterday, Ogeri, Mberi, they refer to themselves as Oki Ibiri, Ibirinta, and Ibiriache. They have a lot to say because the Spirit of God says I should say that the provisions of the Hebrew Bible, if they are followed, that era that people, that religions have called the end of times, would be a golden era for all humanity. There will be no racism, there will be no anti-Semitism, there will be no poverty. Disease would go away. But the Hebrew Bible has to be understood first. The branch of the family of Israel, called the Jews, broadly called the Jews, they have done a lot of work. The Igbos, the branch that calls themselves the Igbos, they have also done so much. Even at their present state, unknown to them, they have managed, even when they don't want to, they have managed to retain the culture of the Bible, without which the Bible cannot be fully understood. I looked at over 40 translations this morning. Only Smith's, Julia Evelina Parker Smith's translation got what the scribes wrote, got what Abraham, Isaac, Jacob transmitted to their descendants. What they told their descendants was that Haran died in the face of the father. That was the exact term they used. And these exact terms are the terms, or is the expression that these people that call themselves the Igbos today, that is what they still use. We read about a time of bliss, but outside the republics that these same people I'm referring to set up from 250 years ago to 1,250 years ago, nobody has seen a society which had no prostitutes, which had no homeless people, which had no destitute, even though it did not have an armed police. It did not even have a police at all. It did not have a regular police. It did not have a standing army. And there were no kings. And it was more peaceful than the society of the Bini, which was an empire, than the society of the Yoruba, which had kingdoms and empires, than the society of the Hausa Fulani, which was embroiled in violence. What do all this tell us? It is telling us that mankind can get it right, but mankind has to know the sources. And the sources are lying inside the body of ethos called Omenana and the Hebrew Bible. I will stop at this stage, but I will continue and pray for me. Pray for me, I repeat. Pray for me. Shabbat Shalom.